we're going to be evaluating composite functions, and we're going to be finding the exact value of tangents of arc cosine of 2/3. All right, and this will take a little bit of trickiness, but nothing too hairy that we can't do here, right? All right, so the way that we handle a problem like this, just watch this cool little tricky business. If we let, okay, if we let u be equal to arc cosine of 2/3. Okay, so let's say that we'll just let u equal that, which would mean that we would have tangents of u, and we're actually going to use that later on in our problem, but let's just focus on this. So we have u equals arc cosine of 2/3. Well, wouldn't that imply then that the cosine of u, wouldn't that be 2/3? You're like, well, yeah, right. Remember we had our property from last example that if you take the sine, oops, into my pen here. If we take, hold on here, my pen's kind of messing up. Sorry. If you take the cosine and then of arc cosine of x, isn't it x, right? Given that this has to fall within our domain of -1 to 1, and doesn't 2/3 fall within -1 to 1? Yes, right. So the cosine of u, right? If I take the cosine of u, it's just going to be 2/3 because cosine and arc cosine cross out because they're inverses, and I just have x. Okay, so first I let this equal to u, and then I take the cosine of u, which is just 2/3. Okay, hopefully I didn't lose anybody right there. You can rewind it and play that again until that sinks in. Well, now what we can do is we can create a right triangle, and watch this cool busyness right here. So if I have a coordinate plane, now since cosine is positive, it's going to be in the first quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead and make a triangle right here. Okay, so it's going to be in the first quadrant. All right. So if this is my angle u, well, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? And if I want to find this value right here, we'll have to use our Pythagorean theorem, right? So that'd be 3 squared equals x squared plus 2 squared. So it's going to be 3 squared minus 2 squared equals x squared. So it's 9 minus 4, so it's 5 equals x squared. So that's just going to be radical 5. Okay, so that's what this is going to be right here, radical 5. Okay, so all I've done is I've taken this information, I put my two values of my right triangle, and I found my third side, and now we're finally actually able to find what this is. So now let's find tangent of u. Well, tangent of u, well, if this is u, it's opposite over adjacent. So that means it's just going to be radical 5 over 2. Because u is arc cosine of 2/3. So if I take the tangent of u, I'm doing this whole thing. And so this right here would be our final answer. Let's do another guy. And same kind of business there. I'm going to go ahead and set this guy right here equal to u. So I'm going to say u equals arc sine of -3/5. Okay. So it follows that if I take the sine of u, if I take the sine of this, and that means it's just going to be -3/5. Because this right here, arc sine of -3/5, falls within the domain of -1 to 1, which means that if I did sine of arc sine of -3/5, see right here, the sine and the arc sine cancel out, and I just get -3/5. Okay, so if I take the sine of this, it's going to be negative 3/5 then. All right. Cool. Well, now let's go ahead and create a triangle here. And let's see. Sine of u equals negative 3/5. So this is going to be in the, let's think here, in the fourth quadrant. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make a right triangle here. All right, so I'm going to go down right here and go like this. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and put what we know. Well, we know that this is my u, and sine is SOHCAHTOA, so it's opposite over hypotenuse. So this is going to be negative 3 and then fifths right there. So if I want to find this value right here, we'll have to use Pythagorean theorem. So 5 squared equals x squared plus 3 squared. I mean, it doesn't matter about that negative sign because it's going to go away anyways. So 5 squared is 25. So 25 equals x squared plus 9 squared. So if I subtract, So if I subtract 9, it's going to give us 16 equals x squared. So I'm going to get 4 equals x. So that's going to be our special right triangle, 3, 4, 5 triangle. So really, if this whole thing is u, so really all I have to find is the cosine of u. Well, here's u. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine of u is going to be 4/5.